Welcome to Astronomy Daily, your daily dose of the most fascinating developments in space exploration and astronomical discoveries. I'm Anna, and today we've got a big lineup of stories from across the cosmos. From India's ambitious push into commercial spaceflight to groundbreaking discoveries about planet-destroying stars, and updates on both our furthest-reaching space probe and newest lunar missions. We'll be covering the full spectrum of space news that's making headlines today, so let's get started with today's news. India's space industry is making remarkable strides as the government pushes to establish the country as a leading space power. At the forefront of this expansion is industrial giant Larsen and Toubro, or L&T, which is breaking new ground in private space manufacturing. In a significant development, L&T is currently assembling India's first privately built polar satellite launch vehicle at their facility in southern India. This milestone project is expected to reach completion with a launch scheduled for mid-year, marking a crucial step in India's commercial space capabilities. What makes this particularly exciting is how it represents a shift in India's space sector from purely government-led initiatives to increased private participation. L&T's senior vice president, Arun Ramchandani, emphasizes that this is part of a broader strategy to commercialize space technology, aiming to provide launch services on demand to meet market requirements. The company isn't just focusing on launch vehicles. They're also manufacturing equipment for deep space exploration programs in collaboration with ISRO, India's national space agency. This partnership exemplifies the new hybrid model India is pursuing, where private industry works alongside government space programs. The numbers behind India's space ambitions are equally impressive. The government has set an ambitious target of growing the commercial space sector from its current value of $13 billion to a remarkable $44 billion. To achieve this, authorities have been actively working to ease regulations and attract global players to participate in India's space economy. This transformation of India's space sector represents a significant shift in how space exploration and commercial space activities are being approached in one of the world's fastest-growing economies. It's a clear signal that space is no longer the exclusive domain of government agencies, but rather an emerging commercial frontier with tremendous potential for growth and innovation. NASA's Lunar Trailblazer mission has hit a significant hurdle as controllers continue their efforts to reestablish communications with the spacecraft following its launch last week. The loss of contact occurred less than 12 hours after the February 26th launch, when the spacecraft rode as a secondary payload alongside Intuitive Machines' IM-2 lunar lander. While the spacecraft's transmitter is functioning, NASA engineers are facing challenges in obtaining full telemetry data or sending commands. The situation is particularly concerning because the spacecraft was unable to perform crucial trajectory correction maneuvers for a planned lunar flyby on March 3rd, which would have been the first of two flybys needed to achieve lunar orbit by July. Based on the limited data available and ground-based radar observations, the spacecraft appears to be in a slow spin with power system issues. However, the team hasn't given up hope. They're currently developing alternative trajectory correction strategies that could still allow Lunar Trailblazer to reach lunar orbit and accomplish at least some of its scientific objectives, which include studying water distribution and forms on the lunar surface. This setback is particularly notable as it adds to a series of challenges faced by NASA's Small Innovative Missions for Planetary Exploration program. These missions are designed to be high-risk, high-reward ventures that enable significant science at lower costs. As NASA's Associate Administrator for Science, Nikki Fox, notes, the mission team exemplifies NASA's innovative spirit and determination in the face of adversity. The situation with Lunar Trailblazer reflects the inherent challenges of space exploration, even as technology advances. Yet it also demonstrates the persistence of mission teams in finding creative solutions to overcome unexpected obstacles in their quest to expand our understanding of the moon and its resources. This next story has been getting a fair bit of mainstream media coverage today, probably because it makes for a good headline. Still, it is an interesting story nonetheless. In a fascinating discovery that sounds like something out of science fiction, astronomers have identified what they're calling a planet killer, a white dwarf star that appears to have torn apart a Jupiter-sized planet. This celestial destroyer, known as WD 2226-210, is relatively close to Earth at just 650 light-years away and sits at the heart of the beautiful Helix Nebula. The evidence for this cosmic destruction comes from peculiar X-ray signals that have puzzled scientists since 1980. Using data from both NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory and the European Space Agency's XMM Newton telescope, researchers have finally pieced together what might have happened. The scenario they've reconstructed is quite dramatic. They believe a massive planet, similar in size to Jupiter, was gradually pulled closer to the white dwarf through gravitational interactions with other planets in the system. Once it came too close to the star, the white dwarf's intense gravitational forces began literally ripping the planet apart. What makes this discovery particularly interesting is that we already know this same star system contains another planet, a Neptune-sized world that orbits the white dwarf every 3 days. This suggests we're looking at the aftermath of a complex planetary dance where gravitational forces orchestrated the destruction of one world while allowing another to survive. This finding isn't just about cosmic destruction. It's giving us valuable insights into what might happen to planetary systems when their stars die. It's particularly relevant because our own sun will eventually become a white dwarf, though fortunately not for several billion years. The research team's findings, published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, are helping us better understand these stellar remnants and their destructive capabilities. It's a sobering reminder that even in death, stars can still dramatically influence the fate of their planetary systems. Next up, let's get an update from an old friend. In a bittersweet development for space exploration, NASA has announced another step in their power conservation efforts for the remarkable Voyager 2 spacecraft. After shutting down its plasma spectrometer last October, NASA is now preparing to power down the low-energy charged particle instrument later this month, leaving the spacecraft with just 3 active instruments. This careful management of Voyager 2's dwindling energy resources is crucial for extending its historic mission. As Suzanne Dodd, Voyager project manager at JPL, explains, without these strategic shutdowns, both Voyager spacecraft would likely have only a few more months of power before mission end would need to be declared. The remaining active instruments, the magnetometer, cosmic ray subsystem, and plasma wave subsystem, will continue gathering valuable data about the interstellar medium, giving us unprecedented insights into the space beyond our solar system's boundaries. What's particularly remarkable about these instruments is their incredible longevity. Take the low-energy charged particle instrument that's about to be shut down. It was originally tested for 500,000 motor steps, enough to last until Saturn's encounter in 1980. Instead, it will have completed more than 8.5 million steps by the time it's deactivated. These power conservation efforts should allow both Voyager spacecraft to continue operating into the 2030s, though with reduced capabilities. That would extend their missions to well over 50 years. An astounding achievement for spacecraft that were originally designed for 5-year missions. As Linda Spilker, Voyager project scientist, reminds us, every minute of every day, these spacecraft are exploring regions where no human-made object has gone before. Each new data point they send back represents another piece of our understanding of the vast unknown that lies beyond our solar system's boundaries. In a groundbreaking achievement for commercial space operations, Varda Space has successfully completed their second capsule landing, touching down in the Australian outback. This marks a significant milestone as the first commercial landing of its kind in Australia, demonstrating the growing capabilities of private companies in space manufacturing and recovery operations. The Winnebago 2 capsule, which spent 6 weeks in orbit after launching aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, carried some fascinating cargo. Among its payload was an advanced spectrometer from the Air Force Research Laboratory and Varda's own pharmaceutical reactor, showcasing the potential for manufacturing valuable materials in the unique environment of space. What makes this mission particularly noteworthy is the capsule's sophisticated heat shield, developed in collaboration with NASA's Ames Research Center. The successful re-entry provided crucial data about hypersonic flight, with the onboard Osprey sensor capturing the first-ever direct measurements of the re-entry environment at speeds exceeding Mach 15. The 265-pound capsule's safe return represents more than just a technical achievement. It's a clear signal that we're entering a new era where private companies can not only reach space, but also bring manufactured goods back to Earth. This capability could revolutionize various industries, from pharmaceutical development to advanced materials production. For Australia, this successful landing at the Cooniba test range marks an important step forward in establishing itself as a key player in the global space industry. As Enrico Palermo from the Australian Space Agency noted, the continent's vast geography makes it particularly well-suited for these types of return missions. This landing follows Varda's first successful mission last year, which brought back space-grown antiviral drug crystals. With 2 successful returns now under their belt, Varda Space is demonstrating that reliable commercial manufacturing in space, combined with safe return to Earth, is becoming a practical reality. The pace of lunar exploration has picked up dramatically in recent months, with more American spacecraft touching down on the moon in the past year than in the previous 5 decades combined. After a 51-year gap following Apollo 17's historic landing in 1972, we've now seen 2 successful American lunar landings in just over a month: Intuitive Machines' Odysseus lander and Firefly's Blue Ghost. Now, Intuitive Machines is gearing up for their second attempt with their Nova-C lander named Athena. If successful, this would mark an incredible achievement: 3 U.S. lunar landings in just over a year. The stakes are even higher this time, with NASA entrusting some valuable scientific payloads to the mission. The star of the show is the Prime 1 experiment, featuring an ice drill designed to sample any water ice lurking beneath the lunar surface. There's also an innovative hopper that will use small rockets to explore nearby craters around the South Pole, with the potential to venture into lava tubes, something that could provide extraordinary new insights into the moon's geology. The commercial nature of this mission has allowed for some fascinating private payloads as well. Athena will be carrying a small rover, a data center, and even equipment to set up a 4G cellular network on the lunar surface. Learning from their first mission, where Odysseus landed successfully but tipped over due to a laser system malfunction, the team has implemented about 10 major changes to the spacecraft and its software, along with roughly 30 smaller improvements. Their chief technology officer has emphasized extensive testing of the laser system this time around, aiming to avoid the issues that led to their previous landing at too steep an angle. This mission represents more than just another moon landing. It's evidence that NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program is beginning to deliver on its promise of establishing reliable, cost-effective access to the lunar surface. With each successful mission, we're laying down more paving stones on our highway to the moon. And that brings us to the end of today's Space News Roundup. From India's expanding space industry to groundbreaking lunar missions, it's been another fascinating day in space exploration. This is your host, Anna, and I hope you've enjoyed today's journey through the latest developments in astronomy and space science. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest space news, head over to astronomydaily.io, where you can sign up for our free daily newsletter. Our website features a constantly updating newsfeed, ensuring you never miss an important space story. For even more space content, you can find us across all major social media platforms. Just search for Astro Daily Pod on Facebook, X, YouTube Music, Tumblr, and TikTok, where we share breaking news and fascinating space discoveries throughout the day. Until next time, keep looking up and wondering about the mysteries of our cosmic neighborhood. This has been Astronomy Daily.